Thank you, Madame la Première Ministre. Thank you, Mette. Lars Jakob, thank you very much for your introduction and your first words, and thank you for this Copenhagen pledge. Look, I totally share first the assessment and what Madame Prime Minister just said. What is the roadmap for all of us? We want to be more competitive, because this is the only way to have growth, to create jobs, to finance our social model and the future of young people. We want to be more sovereign, because we experienced during the past few years the cost of dependencies, COVID time, war in Ukraine, instabilities of this world. And we want to meet with our commitments on climate change. We have to decarbonize. It's clear, because it's as well about our future. In order to deal with that, and with these three objectives, we have to innovate much more, and we have to be much more efficient, because I think the main figures was mentioned by Jakob about the big gap with the US. A third of this gap in terms of GDP per capita difference is due to the quantity of work, but two-thirds is due to the lack of innovation and efficiency of our own market. So we live in a world of uncertainties, and this is not the purpose today to revert on these uncertainties, tariffs and so on, but we put too many tariffs on our economies ourselves. So we know exactly what we have to do. It's well established in Letta report, Draghi report, and so on. So now the question is how to deliver. And this is the agenda we work on with the leaders and with the Commission, and it's a days and weeks issue. And I want to insist on that, because for me, the end of this year is absolutely critical to deliver this agenda. First, this is simplification. I agree with you, it's not brand new, we don't speak about moonshots, but it's just to resynchronize our economies with the rest of the world. In terms of sometimes timelines, regulation issue on trials and so on, but as well CSRD, CSDDD, simplification regarding the stock of the European legislation, etc., etc. It's super important. Second, the deepening of the single market. Everywhere we still have barriers. We kill the potential for all of you to have a domestic market of 450 million citizens. This is the biggest market, the biggest developed market, with 23 million businesses and 450 million inhabitants. In a lot of sectors, we still have too many barriers, too many regulators and so on. So this is our agenda, and in this regard, the implementation of a 28th regime is clearly a very important move forward, and we back this approach. But telco and energy, as mentioned, are as well key focus to deliver that. Third, innovation. Quantum, AI, healthcare, defense, green tech, on these 5 sectors which are key to deliver our common agenda, we have to innovate much more. It's all about talents. We have the talents, we train them, we want to keep them. Scale. So on these key issues, this is where we have to focus clearly our energy to reduce the barriers. Speed. And everywhere we are lagging behind China and or US in terms of legal timelines, we will lose. And finance. This is why the fourth point is about capital market union. It's a very important point in this competitiveness and growth agenda. And today we have a strong alignment amongst all of us. So it's simplification of the current regulation, because you were right. 75% of the financing of the economies in Europe are financed through banks and insurance. And we put ourselves a regulation not to finance anything in equity through banks and insurance. So simplification of this regulation, securitization program to be delivered end of the year at our level and submitted next year to become a reality in 2026. And obviously the capital market union itself, with the reform of the supervision and simplification of our procedures, and incentives to go to equity and innovation. We are the biggest place for savings, but a third of these savings just go to finance bonds and equity elsewhere, which is crazy. And the rest is largely over-financing our own bonds and not sufficiently our technologies. Fifth, climate and energy. And this is the work we will finalize in the weeks to come to have enablers, but it's clear that if we want to deliver, and we are committed to this agenda, we have to work very hard, and I don't want to be too long, but we have a few moonshots on climate and energy and decarbonization in terms of financing and organization. And my last point is about European preference. It was till recently an awful word, totally impossible to be pronounced in a business meeting. But this is a necessity, because we are the unique crazy place where we don't protect our domestic players. In the US, you have a US agenda. In China, it's no more a Chinese preference. It's a Chinese exclusivity sometimes. In Europe, this is the only place where you can finance with the taxpayer money 100% non-European players. This is the only place where you put regulations on your players, but at the same time you negotiate the lifting of barriers with non-European players with a double standard. This is impossible just to pursue such an approach. And what we are doing on steel, for instance, is a very important point, because this is just protecting our players. It's not protectionism. This is part of this resynchronization. We have to accelerate, we have to innovate, we have to finance much more, we have to clearly be super innovative, but at the same time, if we want to remain sovereign, we have to protect the existing players when they suffer about the absence of level playing field. And what we started with the Chinese EVs, what we follow with the steel today, is exactly what we have to do sector by sector, because this protection and this European preference are key elements of this competitiveness agenda. I don't want to be longer. I think the agenda is quite clear and the roadmap is quite consensual. And now the main issue for us is implementation and speed. And this is why we will focus in the weeks to come to deliver this agenda in order to put it in strong regulations at the European level, in order sometimes to deregulate, but to have clarification of that and make it real. I don't want to be longer. I want to thank you, Mette, to start this informal council and the summit of the European political community with precisely this business meeting and the opportunity to answer the Copenhagen pledge. Thank you.